It's 1970. Britain is grey. But a shiny Technicolor revolution is about to change all that, in pop music at least. It was the men who led this teenage rampage, and didn't they look glam? The king of teens...
You kind of watch with your parents, and if everyone's squirming uncomfortably, you know it must be something good.
The chameleon king...
When we left, he cut his hair and painted his nails and shaved his eyebrows.
The king of the crowd.
The other guys in the band, their parents used to say to him, "You'll never get anywhere with that singer, all he does is shout."
The king of cool.
He was a fantastically glamorous figure. And there wasn't a guy in Britain who didn't think that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
The girl who would be king.
I had stuck to my guns. I thought, this is where I'm going. I don't care if there's a place for me or not. I'm going to find a place.
And the showbiz king.
He's got that, what I call the killer instinct, that a lot of superstars have.
It was the 70s, and something was on everyone's lips.
S-E-X. Bi, S-E-X. Homo, S-E-X. Hetero, S-E-X. Music, S-E-X.
There was a new freedom in the air. Women could act like men, men could dress like women, and this new generation of teenagers were bored by the old hippie tunes on offer.
Music spoke about what was going on, and it helped me make sense of the world.
These teens wanted something louder, flashier, and altogether more fun.
It was a fantastic time for a lad because you could actually really dress up and you could still pull women.
And the man who led this pop revolution is our first shining star. The king of teens, Marc Bolan. Marc Bolan always knew where he wanted to be, way out in front.
What about telling them I have sex 5 times a day? Do you think they go for that? I said, oh, yeah, that sounds good, yes, we'll put that story up.
He was gorgeous, very pretty boy, and definitely had his own style, his own image.
Dipping into his dressing up box, he introduced the gender-bending thrill that began glam rock.
We call it today the X Factor. It's what I call charisma. You can't buy it, you can't teach somebody. He had it, Bubba.
Well, I saw my baby walking with another man today.
The young Mark Feld grew up in London's Jewish East End, but the soundtrack to his childhood was pure American rock and roll.
I first met Marc Bolan, I was probably about 12, 13 years old. He was always stood out. He always looked like a star. It don't matter if you've been an actor, a writer, a singer, or whatever, a painter. He wanted to be a star, Bubba.
By 15, Mark was earning money by modelling.
You know, he wasn't very wealthy, but he still presented himself. I mean, he was the only guy around town with, 15 suits and 5 good shirts and a cane.
But he was determined to make it big with his music.
Mark was desperate to be a star. And I was on the New Musical Express at that time as a journalist. Mark would come up and just try to sort of, get a foot in the door. And he would tell us, that he was going to be bigger than the Beatles and bigger than Elvis. And he would literally say things like that. We'd pat him on the head and say, yes, of course you will, Mark. Now come back when you're old enough to buy a drink.
For the next 5 years, he drifted between bands. Then in 1967, he teamed up with bongo player Steve Peregrine Took and found a champion in Radio 1 DJ John Peel.
Who's playing here, actually? Well, right now there's a group called Tyrannosaurus Rex. Mark decided to go out and form his own little group, just the two of them, and it's very beautiful. Okay, let's have a look. Okay.
I went to see him because I knew he was going to come and see us. He was playing at the Lyceum, and there was about 3,000 or 2,500 people.
Only held 1,500.
Is it? Okay. You know, I like to exaggerate. Anyway, it was packed with what I would call hippies, and he was sitting cross-legged on the stage, strumming away the guitar. It was just very weird.
But the hippie crowd were never going to get Marc to number one. By 1970, he'd given Tyrannosaurus Rex a new image, and kids were dancing to a new sound.
He just lost his, what I would call, underground cred audience, and suddenly became a little girlie's dream.
By harnessing the rock and roll riff of his youth, Marc put the fun back into pop, and T-Rex was born. The formula worked. In March 1971, Marc Bolan was finally where he wanted to be, number one in the charts.
We play for the kids that never saw the Beatles. They're seeing us as those sort of people, you know, because they never saw it, they weren't around it. The average age of the audience is 15.